12 is here. I was looking at the calendar today, and after this week of information, we're going to be down to approximately 3, maybe 4 weeks. Earlier I said that we're not going to really have assignments over Thanksgiving. Been thinking about that, and I think it'll be in our best interest to not have work for you guys, but for me to put a little something together for you guys. And the topic is going to be around dysphagia, swallowing disorders. But anyways, this week is going to give you guys the opportunity to create a therapy session that will have a purpose. The therapy sessions that you guys are going to create are going to be shared with Celia. You guys will watch the video with the assignment for Celia, and that should make sense. So I'm not going to get into too much detail about the assignment, but what I do want to talk about is class. So far, you guys have got a lot of exposure, a lot of opportunities to learn about the different dysarthrias, apraxia, motor speech disorders, neurological functioning of speech, some really, really in-depth information, as you guys are well aware of. So this week, I decided that it would be in our best interest to take some time, go back to that chapter 2 where we learned the neurological basis for speech, upper motor, lower motor, indirect activation pathways, so on and so forth. I want to revisit that. One of my fears when I started looking at and trying to put class together was I didn't want to give you guys oodles and oodles of information and just keep steamrolling ahead. As you know, I've never taught this class, so I was trying to find a balance there. But now that we've gone through the information that was in the textbook, I just want to make sure that I give you guys an opportunity to solidify some of the information that we've learned before. In chapter 2 was really complex information, and I just want to give you guys the opportunity to go back, look at it, and see if it makes sense. Okay, so that's part of this week. The next part is what I know you guys are looking for, the whole concept of, well, how do I do therapy? There's not a clear-cut answer on that one. Everybody has unique styles and strategies in which they deliver therapy. My biggest words of encouragement for you, not just with adult populations, but with kids, is this. Be personable. Show the people that you care about them. Be genuine. Ask them questions. Inquire about them. And forge relationships with the people that you're working with. You have to be able to establish trust with people. Some people it's super easy to establish trust. Other people it's really, really difficult. But the key, in my opinion, is being genuine, being caring, being encouraging when you're interacting with people is how you form those relationships. Those are acquired skills. Some people have those skills innate, where it just comes to them naturally, and they're really personable, and people just tend to trust people with certain personality types. Other people have to work really, really hard to develop the personality traits that people gravitate to, where the people will say, that person seems like a trustworthy person. If we had been in class for the past 12 weeks where I'd been sitting in the classroom, I'd have a real good bead on where each and every one of you guys are at with that, but obviously that hasn't been something that we've done. I've seen enough videos to, have general ideas of your guys' personalities, but forging relationships by being genuine, showing people you care, getting a case history was something that we talked about earlier within your motor speech exams. Asking them questions, getting to know the person, talking to them, talking to the nurses before you go in, finding out every little piece of information that you can about the person so you know things that you can ask them about them. We ask people questions about their personal lives to show them that we're interested. Pretty simple, but it's something that you need to be reminded of. If you can ask personal questions rather than what did you think of the weather today, or just real superficial surface questions, which are important. I mean, those have to be part of a conversation as well. But I read that you were a school teacher in your previous life. That must have been a pretty rewarding experience. Can you tell me more about that? Questions like that allow people to know that you care about them. The assignment this week, creating the session for Celia, is going to be a challenge, but I know everybody can do it. Out of all the chapters that we've read, past two, managing dysarthrias, managing apraxia speech, and the chapter of general consideration, I know for a fact that all of you thought that those were the easiest reads that we've had in class so far. But everything that is in those chapters is how to do therapy with a person with a motor speech disorder. And there's tons of overlap between motor speech disorders and more of a language impairment. Tons of overlap. It's really, 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 that might have been one or two reads too much, but in general, the delivery of a therapy to an adult with a motor speech disorder and aphasia is pretty straightforward on what you need to do. The goal of a therapy session with an adult is to restore them to a functional level, something that you'll bump up against in your career if you're working with adult populations is they're not going to be satisfied with where they're at because they know their prior level of functioning and they know that they're not at their prior level of functioning. But you as a therapist looking in on the situation can say, wow, you're doing really, really good. And then the patient will say, well, no, I'm not. I can't. But you as a therapist are thinking, wow, but you can, and you can, and you can. And being able to have the interpersonal skills to communicate that message to the patient is a very, very, very strong skill set to work at, and it takes practice. That's all there is to it. And your practice can come from just being an incredibly supportive person to everyone that you come in contact with. Pretty good life lessons, and I hope most of you guys are leading your lives that way, where you're valuing everybody that you come in contact with, because those skill sets will help you in everything you do. But as a therapist, needing trust from people, if you just seem like a person that can be trusted, you're going to be much better off. Therapy again, I just said this, and I don't want to chase too many rabbit trails here with this video, but I know that you guys want to know how to do therapy, and I'm assuming that a lot of you are uncomfortable with how that would look to be sitting across the table or sitting in the chair with the patient lying in a bed, getting ready to deliver therapy sessions. Totally natural. I still recall my first few interactions at a nursing home. I never really spent much time in a nursing home, and nursing homes could always kind of creep me out. But experience is where you get better at what you're doing. So this week's assignment is going to give you the opportunity to run through what you think is important to work on in the therapy session with the person that's functioning in a ballpark like Celia is. But the other thing that I'm hoping is that you guys really take the opportunity to view your peers and their interaction styles, what they thought was important, and take their ideas and jot them down, because there's no sense reinventing the wheel. A good idea in a speech therapy session is a good idea. As you guys have probably found from your articulation class, some people had really good ideas, and you were able to take their idea and place it into your therapy session. As part of the idea that I had behind the therapy finds, the assignment from the past 2 weeks, is check out what's out there and see what other people are doing and see what you like about it, and steal their ideas and make it into what fits your therapy style. And again, that comes down to an experience thing. So take the opportunity to view as many of your peers' therapy sessions as you can and see what you liked about it, and build your repertoire off of that. It takes practice to become natural with what you're going to do in a therapy session. But again, another kind of rabbit trail. The textbook, this Joe Duffy character that wrote this textbook, he's the man with motor speech disorders. He's the guru, and the information on managing dysarthria, managing apraxia, and general consideration is rock solid. And the foundations that are in there are things that you take and you bring them forward with everything that you do. And I mean, managing apraxia speech was the shortest chapter that we've had. It was 10 pages, 11 pages, something like that. But all of the different components that were in that short little chapter are what constitute good good therapy if you're dealing with a person with apraxia. So what I'm trying to get at, like, full circle here, is if you're not confident, it's natural, but you have to build your confidence, and you build your confidence by doing therapy. And the only way to do therapy is through experience and getting in and doing it. I truly wish that I had more subjects available to me with communicative disorders. Understand that my setting that I'm working with in the nursing home, it's real. Sometimes I'm incredibly busy where I'll be there for every night for a couple months in a row, and sometimes I'm not there for a couple weeks. So I don't have tons of subjects. It's not that I don't want you guys to observe me doing therapy with people. It's just I don't have subjects, and I don't have contacts with a lot of speech pathologists that are working with adult populations that I can say, hey, or will you film yourself doing a session? It's just I don't have those opportunities readily available to me. But yeah, it comes down to a confidence thing, but if you've taken your time in the past 3 weeks with becoming familiar with the things that are in the text, as far as, what should you do, you're going to be positioning yourself well to be effective with an adult population, whether it's an acute care setting or an outpatient rehab or a nursing home. I mean, there's so many different settings that you can work with adult populations, and I don't know where you guys are going to land with that. And I've said this before, even if you don't land in an adult population, the things that are in this book play just as importantly with a kid population, adolescent population. Yeah. Just trying to think if there's anything else that I want to add to this. Do your best as you develop your therapy plans for Celia. Keep what you're going to be doing functional and targeted. Yeah. And I know that you guys are going to do great. And if you feel like you don't do great, be asking yourself, what can I do to get better with it? And that's what the important thing is. Always be asking that question, as far as the question that you need to ask yourself consistently at the end of every single day is, what went well with my day today? And what was the thing that I didn't think went well? And how am I going to get better? How am I going to improve on the thing that didn't go well? And if you're able to reflect that way at the end of your workday, you will increase your proficiency, and you'll increase your confidence and your competency in a really, really quick manner. And it's just a good thing to do for your professional growth. So, yeah. All right. Week 12, go get them, guys.